Okay, welcome everybody. Good evening. Council acknowledges the Wadawurrung, the traditional owners of this land, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Greater Geelong community today. For reference, this meeting is being broadcast on the internet and the recording will be published on Council's website after the meeting. As a visitor in the public gallery, welcome. You may be filmed. And by remaining in the public gallery, you consent to being filmed and for the recording of you to be made publicly available by the Council. That's a good thing because it's going to be a very positive meeting. So details about the broadcasting and the recording of Council meetings is available in the Council's live streaming and recording of Council meetings policy, which is available in hard copy at this meeting and electronically on the Council's website. If you have any questions about Council's policy, please speak with one of the City staff here tonight. So welcome everybody, welcome to City Hall and thank you very much for coming. For anybody who was at the barbecue in the Little Mallup Street Mall prior, thank you also for attending that. I think that was pretty good fun and thanks to the Rotary group for providing the fantastic food. I hope you all enjoyed a good burger. This is a community focus meeting technically, not a formal council meeting or a typical council meeting, and we are normally out and about at different towns and suburbs throughout the municipality. This is actually an opportunity for us to share with the community and invite people more locally to attend. And while we do normally hold our ordinary meetings of council here at City Hall, we haven't had the opportunity until tonight to actually go out and meet the Geelong City community, which is a growing number of people, which is fantastic. So again, thank you to everybody who came to the barbecue and to the councillors and I. We were very excited about being able to use the mall as a place to meet with you. We've had really good feedback about the activation that we've put into the mall, so I'm hoping to see that continue to improve and be a place to meet. It's a very valuable public open space right in the heart of our CBD, and late last year we took the vote to actually make the improvements, so it's really great to see them taking shape. The process tonight, to keep the meeting engaging for those of you in the gallery, it's not a very busy gallery tonight, so we will absolutely try and make it interesting for you. And for people watching the live stream, I'll be asking all the councillors to stick to the time limits and make sure that speaking about items on the agenda, I think it's 5 minutes for moving, 3 minutes for talking and 2 minutes for closing, as set out in our meeting procedures local law. And given the councillors will be doing their bit in this regard, I always ask people in the gallery too who have a question to ask to make a submission to do the same and keep their questions to the 3 minute limit. There's a total of 45 minutes available for public questions and submission time. So we do appreciate people coming in and having a chat to us, but we just need to keep it all moving because otherwise it can drag out very late and then it's not engaging and nobody likes being up that late because good decisions don't get made typically. Now, I need to ask if there are any apologies to note this evening. I do have both Councillor Contell and Councillor Mansfield on leave, and they are both apologies for tonight's meeting. Do we have any more? No? Thank you. I did have a request from Councillor Nelson for leave between the 28th of February 2020 to the 11th of March 2020 inclusive. So may I please have a mover and seconder for leave to be granted. Moved Councillor Sullivan, seconded Councillor Mason. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Well done, Ron. And confirmation of minutes. May I also have a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on the 28th of January 2020. Moved Councillor Murray, seconded Councillor Grisbeck. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest in relation to tonight's agenda?
Yes, Madam Mayor. In item number 3, I'll declare a conflict of interest.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Noted. Are there any further declarations? No? Okay, thank you. If there are any conflicts that arise during the meeting, please make them known. Now, we have a Brown Bill Ward presentation, as is the typical process on the community focus meetings, and Councillor Murray will be taking us through the presentation tonight because Councillor Mansfield and Councillor Contell are both on leave, so it's all yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll do my best to represent the other two. Hello everyone, and thank you for coming tonight. As Madam Mayor has just said, I'm one of the ward councillors, Peter Murray, and I'll have a snapshot of some of the activities and projects happening across Brownbill. And I would also like to say good evening to the thousands of Brownbill residents at home tuning into the live streaming. The short and medium term activations at Little Mallup Central, where we held this evening's barbecue, have been going really well. They started after a notice of motion from Councillor Eddie Contell in June last year, when the council committed $315,000 to attract more visitors to the area. We've been holding a packed schedule of performances which have received fantastic feedback. Andy Pobjoy's summer beach party was a real highlight, and so was his Christmas performance and the visit from Santa. The daily program continues throughout this month with the Drongo and the Crow on stage tomorrow, Rachel Brenner on Thursday, and Heat 2 of Geelong's Best Busker on Friday. More than 50 people enjoyed the free entertainment and morning tea vouchers at the first over 50s morning event this morning, and that runs until the end of March. I really encourage everyone to check out the program. Head to the website on the screen. And we've just installed new seating around the trees near the permanent musical instruments, which, as you can see, were a real hit with little Sienna and Campbell, as well as myself and Sarah Mansfield. Food Truck Fridays are back up and running. The water feature has returned, much to the delight of the passing kids, and we'll soon have foam play blocks, and more planters. Say that quickly. And just on tonight, I think there was a success, and I think I should encourage council maybe to hold it on a regular basis, maybe during a lunchtime, and perhaps get TAC, WorkSafe and NDIS involved. Just a thought. Last month I had the pleasure of meeting with several community groups and clubs who received grants as part of the 2019-20 Community Infrastructure Grants Program. Council held a function here to thank them for their massive contributions to the community. The Bell Park Cricket Club has more than $158,000 to upgrade its training facilities, while Council has set aside $23,000 for the Geelong Central Netball Association for a pavilion upgrade at Cardinia Park Netball Complex. This will make a huge difference when it comes to holding championships, carnivals and tournaments. Funding is still available in the 1920 program, with grants open for This Girl Can, community events, healthy and connected communities and the Central Geelong Heritage Fund. If you're part of a community group that might need a helping hand, head to the website on the screen for more info. As many of you might know, we're building a new Civic Precinct across the road at 137 Mercer Street that will include a new office building for the city. The project isn't just about reducing costs by bringing staff together from 7 Central Geelong offices. It's also about creating a vibrant and safe space for the community. 48% of the site, or 2,600 square metres to be exact, will be dedicated to accessible public space, as well as co-working spaces, cafes and shops. Key aspirations from the community have been integrated into the concept design, including a sustainable design, a precinct that supports walking, cycling and public transport, a welcoming and accessible space that also reflects our Unesco City of Design designation. We've just done another round of community consultation that received more than 400 responses, which will help shape what the public space will look like. Aboriginal community engagement will kick off in March, following several community workshops in June last year, to explore ways to meaningfully celebrate Wadawurrung culture within the precinct. Some of you might have seen some construction works at the Geelong Botanic Gardens recently. We're building a $1.3 million sustainable visitor centre there, which is shaped like a leaf. Construction is wrapped up despite some delays caused by storms and heavy rain. Irrigation and landscaping works are now underway, which will hopefully be finished up by June 2020. The toilets are nearly ready to be open to the public, while the rest of the facility will be open to the community mid-year. Looking forward to checking it out. The waterfront has been bustling with visitors attending a jam-packed schedule of events this summer. The floating Christmas tree light show was once again a real hit with the families. while the festival sales over the long weekend attracted an estimated 100,000 people who were wowed by the water ski light show on Australia Day. More than 120,000 people across Geelong and the Surf Coast enjoyed the Cadell Evans Road Race, which showcased our region to cycling fans watching from all around the world. I had a lot of fun at the waterfront at the elite men's race, ringing a cowbell as the peloton flew past and meeting enthusiasts of all ages. There was then the 2020 Oceania Championships at the Royal Geelong Yacht Club, which attracted more than 150 boats from over 35 different countries. And yesterday, the 49er FX NACRA World Championships began, and this will be followed by the Wooden Boat Festival in the long weekend and the Lasers Masters Championship to round out the waterfront's busy summer of sailing. So, Madam Mayor, that's a snapshot of Brownville. Very busy ward. So, thank you.
Well done, Councillor Murray. Thank you. It's definitely the place to be, Central Geelong. I think you have the most exciting ward at the moment. All the big events going on. Now, the next agenda item is public question time and submission time, and it is specifically available for questions and submissions. It's not a forum for discussion, and our public question and submission time policy provides for each person addressing the council to speak for 3 minutes. We're actually using a digital timer tonight. We don't seem to have too many people in the gallery, and it's not exactly subtle, it's rather enormous, but it's an interim measure. We're trying it out just to make sure that people do understand how the time is going when they're speaking and to try and make it a little more user-friendly. So I will note that we do have one question here from somebody who's submitted in writing, and the process is that the written questions get first priority and they get addressed in order of presentation to us. So, do we have Steve Clark in the audience tonight? We don't, so we will respond to any questions that we do get in writing. So given that Steve has written a question in, that will be the response. So is anybody else interested in coming up and asking a question or making a submission to the council? I think this is the first council meeting we've had where we haven't had questions and submissions. So, and we got the timer ready, so okay, we're prepared for next time. But that's good because we can go straight into the meeting proper. Are there any petitions? No questions from the gallery and no petitions. It's a quiet, it must be because it's a community focus meeting rather than a formal council meeting, so maybe everybody's getting ready for the end of February. Okay, so to Section B reports. Item 1, the Youth Council 2020 amended terms of reference. To be moved, Councillor Aitken, seconded Councillor Mason. Thank you, Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Mayor Asher. Look, I'd like to move the recommendation with the following additions. That is subject to the following amendments. 5.1, delete clause 4.3.2. Item 5.2, delete clause 4.3.3, and add item 5.3, add 4.3.2, members are not eligible to nominate for re-election. Look, the Youth Council celebrated its first 12 months, and 2019 was the first year that we had the Youth Council. I was really proud that it was an initiative that was originally mentioned by the citizenship jury to talk about giving an opportunity for young people to have a voice in the decision-making processes within the City of Greater Geelong. Following a significant push by myself, we did have a report that came to Council establishing the Youth Council. We've had the pleasure of working with the representatives in each of the 4 wards over the last 12 months. We've received reports, they've undertaken the Youth Summit, and we have spoken favourably of it on a regular basis. One of the terms of reference have been reviewed, and there was some minor changes associated to improve the wording and also understanding the description of the makeup and processes associated with the Youth Council. One of the areas that I personally believe was a significant change from the terms of reference and probably didn't reflect the intent of the majority of councillors was that the councillors felt that this process was an education process and it should be available to as wide a number of members of the Geelong community as possible. As a consequence of that, I'm actually recommending tonight that we do change the terms of reference. The terms of reference at the present time that are being deleted actually say that a representative can serve up to 3 years on the Youth Council, and it also gives them the opportunity to renominate every year for a maximum of 3 years. I certainly did not intend that as a consequence of the Youth Council, and this amendment is to put in place that members would be no longer eligible if it is adopted tonight. The consequences for the existing council are up for debate and negotiations because ultimately these terms of reference are what are put in place from tonight if they are accepted. I'm encouraged that this project has been successful, and I think we should be making it as broad as possible. I think we had 108 nominees for the 2020 council. It would be fantastic that we receive that number of people for 2021, and we expand the opportunity that there can be 11 new people, young people represented in that process. And this is what the significant change of terms of reference that I've presented tonight before the council, and I seek the council's endorsement to that principle.
Thank you, Councillor Aitken. Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Mayor Asher. I've seconded this motion so that we can have the opportunity to discuss it, but in fact I don't have great comfort with the amendment. I think the amendment has merit, and I've thought about it in that I think that there should be opportunities for youth becoming more widely represented. There may be opportunities for not thinking about 4 wards, but 12 representative areas, which include various schools, and gives the various schools and other community groups a greater depth and opportunity for participation. Indeed, the Youth Council itself could be consulted. So I see merit in it, but I think that in no way should there be any hint of retrospectivity, and if we rush into this, it's creating some disturbance for the young people. So I think that the Youth Council should be consulted, and I think we should go more slowly. So on balance, I think we should proceed with the status quo and enter a more deeply considered analysis and process over the next year, and where we might consider the pros and cons more carefully, and then a follow-up review towards the end of the year.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillor Manane.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I tend to agree with Jim's comment that we might just be rushing a little bit with this amendment. I think the examination of the period of service has got some merit, and I would support Councillor Aitken in reviewing that. But if I could just reflect as a first-time councillor myself, I've learnt on my role predominantly from 3 different sources. I've learnt from council officers. Thank you all for the education. I've learnt from the community itself, and I've also learnt from the people at this table, my peers. And in the domain of youth, it's been my experience that youth value their peers very highly. So I would not be surprised that the new representatives that come on to the 2020 Youth Council, they would greatly value having some peers around them that may have served a previous 12 months in the past council. In fact, I think it would be exceedingly valuable to them. Remembering we are talking about children as young as 13 or 14 that don't have the life experiences that we have. In addition to that, those councillors who have already served the 1 year themselves, I think they could grow substantially in the role themselves with the benefit of the second year. And certainly that's been my experience. Now, we're not going to know this until we go through the second year of Youth Council to actually know whether that's the case. That's my earlier comment that maybe we're just rushing the amendment by coming now and not at the end of the year. And maybe that with a review at the end of this year, we may decide to make a change to the term of service. But let's go through the year to see what the interaction is between the existing and the new. We're not. I don't think we should be measuring our success here by the number of people that go through our youth council. It's not a sausage machine scenario. It's about the quality of the experience and the program and what the young people get out of it. So, if I was asked to choose tonight, my optimum term would be 2 years as the optimum period. But I would like to wait till the end of 2020 to do that. I understand that we have a number of people coming through in this new youth council who were there last year. So we'd have an opportunity to turn half of the council over every 2 years, and that would do two things. It would pick up the benefits that I'm articulating, and would also address the issue of maximising the number of youth as Councillor Aiken is wanting to do. So my recommendation to my fellow councillors that we keep the status quo for another 12 months, view how this works, and then make our decision at the end of the year.
Thanks, Councillor Manane. Any other councillors? Councillor Grisbeck.
Thank you. I think just briefly, my view is that we should be reviewing after each year. That's a personal view, and I think I agree with Councillor Aiken in the terms of, I think the initial idea and the initial thought was to give as many people an opportunity as we could. And so my view was, I was surprised when I saw the terms of reference come back after our feedback, some of the things that were put into there. So I tend to agree with Councillor Aiken's changes. I just think that we need to give as many people as we can the opportunity to gain this experience and actually get a view about what being on council looks like. We can make it as much and as close to our official process as councillors, but what we need to do is, this is not a council election. It is to ensure that the youth get an opportunity to understand how local government works and some of the advocacies in which that we participate in. So my view is I'd like to give as many people as possible the opportunity, and I think if we were to, I agree with these changes, because my view is that we need to be offering different and diverse communities the opportunity to both put their hand up, and I know that the officers and the organisation has done a pretty good job of canvassing young people across the community in all different shapes and forms. So I think that if we can stick to having a 12-month term, my view is that you would create more opportunities for young people. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Grisbeck. Councillor Murray.
Look, I was aware there was a 3-year term. I read the terms of reference last year, and I think it was even referenced in chamber once or twice that they could be a junior councillor for 3 years. So it's been publicly stated, my belief that it has been publicly stated that way. And as a group, I don't recall ever discussing that we would want it brought back to 12 months. There was certainly Councillor Alley's view at a briefing last Tuesday, but as a group we haven't discussed any options, and given a choice, I believe 2 years would be the optimum amount of time. And I agree, the first 12 months as councillor, especially a youth councillor, I mean, they're finding their feet, they're just a little bit hesitant to perhaps voice their opinion. And we saw that when we had the mentoring programs. You know, they really opened up as the year progressed. So I think it would be exciting to see how their views are going into the second year. And if we change that back to 12 months, I don't think we'll get, the expectations or, really what we want from a youth councillor if they're only in for 12 months. So I'm against the nom.
Thanks, Councillor Murray. Councillor Harwood.
I share the view that in relation to, continuity for the role, it's a very limited part-time role that the youth council engages in, and I agree with Councillor Murray here in relation to some of the mentoring programs and time spent with the youth councillors themselves and their, initial reluctance to perhaps speak up or engage until eventually they understood that we were encouraging them to bring their voices and ideas and comments to the table and have them heard and hopefully acted on in some capacity. So that did take some time. It was only towards the very end, I think at the summit even, that some of them really found their voice and actually found that the purpose of what they'd actually been through the last 12 months. So I certainly support at least a 2-year term. It's only in its second year now. And I think we also need to be careful about us as a council group, maybe seem to be trying to manufacture how the council group, the youth council might look. I'm really conscious of let the democratic process take place, let it roll out organically. I don't think us as a council group perhaps looking over the top and peering, who should be in, who should be out until we're satisfied what it looks like. I think it's a dangerous place for us to go to. I'd much rather see the youth themselves nominate themselves, and that works its way through its current process, which is a democratic process, and we get a result at the end. And as I said, I think it takes them time to really understand a youth council, let alone a full council. And as much as we try to impart that knowledge and experience when we talk to them, you can see their minds sort of glazing over, people trying to absorb a huge amount of information. And when they do come into the chamber, they again get another overload of process and how a council works and where they fit into that. So I like the idea of a second year. I think, again, the first year they find their feet, they find their way, and the second year they're able to really flourish and bring their ideas in a stronger manner, better researched, better articulated, and we as a senior council can really start to blend those into our own discussions and own outcomes. So I think there is so much to learn. 12 months is such a short period of time, and I don't feel comfortable with us taking a position where we might be said to be manufacturing how we would like the junior council to look.
Councillor Harwood, any other councillors to comment? I'll just make a short comment if I may. Well, I do appreciate that it's a steep learning curve and a year is a fairly short period of time. I'm increasingly aware of how quickly a year is going past. But I also do support what Councillor Grisbeck said about allowing more young people to have a go and get involved as a youth councillor. There are only 12 spots. I'm also really conscious that Councillor Aitken and Councillor Grisbeck, actually, but particular Councillor Aitken, was the key driver of the youth council in the first place and something that he campaigned on. So I will fully support his preference for how it's rolled out, and I think the amended terms of reference is fair enough in this point. Any other comments? Councillor Aitken to close.
Thanks, Mayor Asher. Look, the basic principles is terms of reference actually set the intent of what the council's actually trying to achieve with this project. We are trying to maximise participation. Fascinatingly, to give some statistics to the council group, the majority of the existing councils have actually stood down at 12 months. So, in fact, if you look at the council, the youth council, you actually see a majority of them actually haven't re-stood. And when you actually talk to some of them, they've actually said that they don't sort of subscribe to some of the comments that have actually been made. They've actually said that 12 months actually is a good, long enough time for them, considering they're between 12 and 17, and it's actually the most intensive period of their schooling and education. And to impose a longer time period on them is actually detrimental, and in fact that's why the majority of them have chosen not to restand after 12 months. So I don't think we're rushing this either. I think that was a comment that was made as well too. I really think this is about maximising participation, giving as many young people as possible the opportunity to participate and be exposed to civics and local government. And the reality is if we had 3-year terms or 2-year terms, that's only 22 to 24 people that are going to get exposed to this project. But if we do shorten the period to 12-month times, we maximise the opportunity for young people to participate, and certainly gives a broader opportunity for diversity of younger people included in knowledge and understanding of local government.
Thanks, Councillor Aitken. On that, I'll put the motion to the vote, the amended motion. All those in favour? Those against? The amended motion is carried. Thank you. Item 2, the Unesco Creative Cities Network Annual General Meeting in Brazil 2020. To be moved, Councillor Harwood. Seconded, Councillor Sullivan. Thanks. Councillor Harwood.
Madam Mayor, the UNESCO Creative Cities Network AGM will be held later this year in July in Santos, Brazil. It's actually Curitiba, which is the city of design based in Brazil. In a nutshell, the city is now has been in its third year as a member of the UNESCO City of Design Designation and one of the city network cities. It's been a really amazing journey for Geelong thus far to be standing on the world stage with a number of UNESCO cities and to be one of 31 in the world with a City of Design designation. Arguably, the City of Design stretches across all 7 designations of the UNESCO City Network. And it is highly sought after, and we have been very lucky to have that designation and very fortunate of being able to attend the recent AGMs where we have managed to build strong networks and strong friendships with fellow cities and get them to understand how Geelong has transformed in recent years and how we've gone about that, and the opportunity for Geelong to learn cities in similar circumstances, how they have also managed to work through growth and difficulties experienced in their cities, and also where the cities are going well to enhance that. This particular AGM in July it represents another opportunity for Geelong to present its case to hold the City of Design conference here in Geelong in 2021. We've already planted the seed and started lobbying the City of Design countries to potentially hold this event here, which would be a huge coup for our city if we're able to do that. And we're very close to doing that. We've already had strong feedback of support for Australia and for Geelong. A number of countries have expressed great interest in coming down to our part of the world, and have already done their homework and research and seen how Geelong has transformed through a period of great economic uncertainty to see where we are today as one of the fastest growing cities in Australia and how we've gone about that. So I support us attending the AGM in July. I think it's critical that we do attend. The attendance of the Mayor and or representatives also is critical insofar as and it'll be the Mayor's decision. It'll be a decision made by Mayor Asher if they wish to attend, but I encourage Mayor Asher to attend on the back of the importance of the Mayor being at such an event. But I do also understand the commitment that will take, but it is really important to understand that when the Mayor attends, that the credibility that gives the city and the conversation and the message that the Mayor takes is really powerful. And it stands in strong stead when we're having a discussion about we would like to hold the City of Design conference in Geelong. If the Mayor gets up and makes that statement, that is the strongest statement we can make. Council officers in Tim Ellis and Chris Silverstroni have also been very active in working relationships with other cities of design and other cities of the network of the UNESCO family. And that will continue, I would suspect. But the cost of the trip is estimated at $12,000. All I can say is it is a very small price to pay for what Geelong actually receives in its advocacy, in its ability to talk to the rest of the world in a sense of what we've done, how we've gone about it, where we're going, and what we want to learn from other cities around the world who do it well. So I strongly advocate the Mayor attending, but again, it is a decision for the Mayor, and I strongly advocate that we do attend the AGM and put our best foot forward. And I'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Harwood. Other comments, Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Marisha. Well, attendance of this AGM is an obligation as part of Geelong's UNESCO City of Design designation. Geelong is a fantastic and unique city. However, we are not alone in the world in regards to the struggles and changes that we have faced. Many cities around the world, such as Dundee in Scotland and Kortrijk in Belgium, just to name a couple, have shared our evolution from a city built on traditional manufacturing to a now more diverse region, not only in just economy and employment, but also education, arts and technology. Collaborating with these cities, as we have been doing through the Creative Cities Network, has opened us up to many options and pathways to grow, new ideas and methods to advance our cities and improve the quality of life for our residents. Now, the overarching responsibilities undertaken by the Mayor and/or the delegate in the task of attending this AGM will include attending and presenting on the Mayor's Day, participating in City of Design sub-network meetings, building relationships, presenting Geelong clever and creative visions, to position Geelong, as Councillor Harwood said, to host a sub-network meeting in 2021, which would be amazing. To secure educational keynote speakers for Geelong Design Week and encourage people to come down to Geelong to just see what amazing opportunities we have here. And to seek opportunities for collaboration based on current projects and calls from the sub-network's cities. Now, the AGM also enables the Cities of Design sub-network to meet and discuss future collaborative projects, and the sub-network core focus areas are communication and design, business and design, policy and design, and education and design. The sub-network creates benchmarks of engagements for all the cities. These include hosting international exchanges and workshops with other creative cities, strengthening international cooperation between cities, sharing experiences, knowledges, best practice, participating in pilot projects and partnerships that contribute to sustainable development goals, taking part in research and evaluations, and promoting policies and measurements for sustainable development. Now, being a part of this network provides such benefit for Geelong and gives us a wealth of information to draw from other cities and its residents. So I'm glad to second the motion.
Councillor Sullivan. Other comments? Councillor Manine.
Just a very brief comment. Look, I think it would be worthwhile us remembering that we're not the only organisation in the Geelong area trying to promote this city on the world stage. Whether it be our institutions, Deakin, and all of those major, they're out there promoting our city and our region. Increasingly, a number of businesses are also trying to do the same thing and being very successful on the international stage. Our own council and council officers have been promoting the city and doing work behind the scenes. So, look, I know in the past this event's cited a bit of adverse publicity, but I certainly hope as a city that we've matured past that point and the good people of Geelong now start to realise the value of UNESCO as an opportunity for our city to get on the world stage and to promote the region. As I've said, a lot of other organisations and businesses in this city are already doing. So I'm clearly supportive. My only comment would be that I really think we should be sending the A team. This is our chance, and I would like to see you go, Mayor Asher, and I know you would represent us very well, as does Tim and the other team. Chris, I'm sorry, and the other team. If we believe this is really important, as we all do, then I think we need to put our best foot forward and really actually promote the city in the best light, especially with this opportunity of hosting in the near wings. So I'd like to support the recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Manine. Councillor Mason.
I'd also like to support very strongly the motion, the recommendation. UNESCO's been in existence since 1945, immediately post Second World War, and it was designed to encourage peace through science, education and culture. And I do commend the foresight of past councils and officers, current and past, who've generated this. We have I think the Creative Cities Network was created in 2004, and we now have 246 cities involved. Without going over all the reasons why we should attend, other important reasons are that it really is an investment for the future. It's not money down the drain. It's not a junket. It's a really great investment. And just to think about the working group that we have that developed the charter, we have Deakin University, the Australian Design Institute, Creative Victoria, the Office of the Victorian Architect, Watherong Corporation, Geelong Arts Centre, Geelong Tech School, TAFE and TAFE representatives, etc. So we have great depth here, and it's really important that we continue on the forefront and the cutting edge of thinking about design. Only last year, while I held the portfolio, the Arts, Culture and Heritage portfolio, we became very aware that there needs to be a design mindset, and that every department within the institution needs to consider design. And just at the moment, we're also looking at a sustainability framework. Design and sustainability go together. We need to be networking internationally, and if we don't continue to participate and continue with our obligations, our international credibility actually will be diminished. I think that we have an exciting future in front of us, and we need to continue to maintain forward and progressive thinking, and this is one of the ways that we can do it.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Any other comments? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, very briefly, we've committed to this Unesco Creative Cities Network. It's an ongoing commitment. There's a designation that is used often around the city. We don't want to weaken that. And so I'm supportive of the motion, and I agree with what Councillor Pat has said. We need the A team to go and representatives there. And the A team includes the Mayor. So I do encourage the Mayor to maybe consider that.
Any other comments? Okay, put the recommendation to the vote. Oh, we've got to close. Sorry, Councillor Harwood.
I'll make it very brief.
Please do.
Thank you. Look, the City of Design, it's become our brand around Geelong. We've encouraged a lot of industry and businesses to use that branding, City of Design. It really is a shift in how we think. It's not just about the built form, it's how we think about our business, how we go about our business and what we do in our business, how we design it and how we either manufacture or produce. So when we actually have an end product, it's got the top to bottom thinking right through it, and design is a key to the finished product. So I actively encourage our continued work within the UNESCO City of Design family, and I actively support attending the Santos AGM, and I do agree that to carry the most weight to get the City of Design conference here in Geelong, the Mayor would be the key, but again, it's a decision for the Mayor, and I support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harwood. Put the recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Great. Item 3, the wharf shed lease, to be moved by Councillor Harwood. We're excusing Councillor Murray. We'll wait till he leaves. Okay, moved by Councillor Harwood and seconded Councillor Nelson. Great, thanks. Councillor Harwood.
Madam Mayor, this is about approving the advertising of the City's intent to enter into a new lease arrangement for the wharf shed, into a new 21-year lease agreement. The current tenant down at the 15 Eastern Beach Road, Geelong, an iconic business down there. The previous leaseholder, I think, was down there for over 20-odd years, and really became an iconic restaurant, eating place for Geelong residents, and tourists and guests alike would often wander down there. Taken over, it's been given a facelift, a new life, and it only has another 8 years to run on its current lease, and the current leaseholders are looking to extend that out to another, I think it's 20-odd years. I need to check the notes here. Sorry, into a 21-year lease agreement, sorry. So quite simply, the recommendation is we approve the issuing of the lease. Should no submissions be received, that would be good. If they are received, then a hearing would be required, but at this point in time, that is the intent of Council to renegotiate that lease. The ultimate decision would need to go to the Minister for approval, as the business is on Crown land, but a successful business that provides a really good experience down on our waterfront, a much-loved venue, and be great. It's great to see new life go into it, and it'd be. I support the recommendation that we give it every opportunity to continue its long success. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Harwood. Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Harwood said, the previous leasee was in there for about 20 years. I was just doing my research before, and it was saying that they opened in the late 90s. I think it was 98 from memory. Having worked in the hospitality industry for over 20 years, I really understand how hard it is to make a dollar. And as we've seen recently in the news, hospitality industry is really, really tough to make a dollar. So we need to encourage those that invest, and certainly invest in Geelong. Three Frothy Beers, TFB, is investing $1.5 million into this premises, and it's going to take them a while to get that money back. So I certainly endorse this item and wish them every success.
Thanks, Councillor Nelson. Councillor Aitken.
Thank you very much, Mayor Asher. Look, I actually just want to go on a bit of a history lesson for the councillors. This project actually started in 1997 with the former Steam Packet Development Board, which I had the privilege of sitting on. The wharf shed was actually one of two components. What happened, it actually is the original bond store that sat on the Moorabool Street pier, and I don't think people understood we actually had another pier in Geelong that actually was right on the end of Moorabool Street. And so it was actually the bond store that actually got shifted to that site location, and it was disused for a number of years. It actually became the first commercial venture as part of the redevelopment on the waterfront of Geelong. And the wharf shed was the bottom part. The top part was actually La Parisienne, and for over 20 years, John Paul Temple ran La Parisienne and was one of the most favoured fine dining experiences, except, of course, across the road for Graham Goldsworthy's Fisherman's Pier. And the great rivalry between those two during those 20 years was fantastic for the waterfront area. And I remember Chris Crawford, who was the original proprietor that was successful in getting the wharf shed. And in fact, I remember having the debate in council to give them a 21-year lease back then as well too. Certainly thank the vision that those people had originally. And I was really pleased the other week to experience an activity in the new wharf shed, which has now taken over the La Parisienne upstairs area. The whole area is now called the Wharf Shed, and they have done a fantastic job in terms of the renovations to refresh that particular hospitality location and venue. So it is important for our waterfront that we have vibrant and successful businesses. In fact, it always was the vision of the Council and the Steam Packet Development Board to have many other ventures and hospitality activities. And when I still look at the waterfront today, I have memories of the original visions and plans that we have, and it's still there is so much opportunity that to create greater linkages between the water and the water's edge, and I hope one day we can dust off some of those plans and actually look at trying to create more activity and more attraction and more hospitality endeavours along the waterfront in the centre of Geelong. But congratulations, and I wholeheartedly support for the second time in my life a 21-year lease for the wharf shed down on the waterfront of Geelong.
Excellent, and thank you for the history lesson, Councillor Aitken. Any other comments? Okay, we'll put the recommendation. We'll go back to Councillor Harwood again. Sorry, I even got it written here. Okay, thank you. And I'll put the recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Carried. And we'll invite Councillor Murray back in.
recommendation for Gibbons? Or do you want to move it?
Really a large building. Councillor Murray has disappeared. Yes, he's at the wharf
He's
shed.
gone down to the wharf
For a
shed.
frothy beer. Yeah.
He's gone down to the wharf shed.
Yeah. We are. Welcome back. Okay, item 4, Gibbons Road, Lara, the proposed road discontinuance, to be moved by Councillor Grisbeck and seconded Councillor Aitken. Thank you, Councillor Grisbeck.
Thank you, Mayor Asher. This item is an item that's come back to us after a period of community consultation. It is to recommend the discontinuance of approximately 300 metres to the east, in the eastern end of Gibbons Road in Lara. For anyone that has been out to Gibbons Road, you will see the reason as to why we think that this should be discontinued. The process has been going since sort of November last year in relation to this proposed discontinuance, and we've received 2 email submissions and 1 email requesting further information. There was a lot of community input into the very beginning when we decided to trial the closure. A lot of people were using that particular road and which became very, very unsafe for cars and for pedestrians and for the people that live on Gibbons Road. There was many instances of cars through the front of fences. There was many instances of near misses. The people that were riding their horses down on their 5-acre lots continued to get harassed and bullied by cars that were speeding down that road. It was an absolute thoroughfare and what people will call a shortcut. But it was very unfavourable for the residents that live down that road. And in all consciousness, I don't think we could necessarily keep that road open in the current state that it was. With my safety hat on, this is the best outcome for this particular road. And look, it would have estimated around $1.7 million to fix that road to a standard in which the traffic that was using it. I'm not sure that was the appropriate use of council funds at this point in time to put into that road, given there are sort of 3 or 4 different access points by which people could reach Bacchus Marsh Road. So I think I'll leave it at that, Mayor Asher.
Thanks, Councillor Grisbeck. Councillor Aitken.
Thank you very much, Mayor Asher. Look, I too support the recommendation that this become a permanent discontinuation of the road. This is actually a classic example of the conflict that actually occurs between rural areas and urbanised areas. This wasn't a urban road. It was really just a laneway that serviced residential rural lots that were quite significant in that area. And then with the urbanisation of the Lara Township, it's actually come closer to this particular area. And I know the suggestion would be then, well, we'll just turn it into a bitumen road and upgrade it for the amount of money that it does and change the nature and add an extra connection point to the Bacchus Marsh Road. But certainly the evidence that's been presented to us as the councillors is that the amenity of the immediate neighbours associated with the Gibbons Road suggests that it should actually be closed off permanently. And can I look to also, Councillor Grisbeck probably isn't in a position to say it, but on a personal level, this is a tough decision for Councillor Grisbeck for 2 reasons. One is because it actually cuts off a shortcut from her to get from her private residence in Lara to the Ballarat Road. So she's actually recognising that it is something that needs to occur. And the other thing as well too is that both Councillor Grisbeck and I have received representation from people that do live in Grands Lakes to say keep it open because it is convenient for us to actually have that road. But the evidence that's been presented to us in terms that the potholes, the maintenance, the dust and the other issues associated with it and the disturbance it has caused for the rural livestock that exists along Gibbons Road It is far outweighs, and it's more important that we protect those amenity issues as opposed to the convenience of those people who live in an urban environment and want a quick shortcut to Bacchus Marsh Road. So congratulations, Councillor Gresbeck, and I certainly will support and back you strongly on this issue if we do continue to receive some community opposition to the initiative.
Thanks, Councillor Aitken. Any other comments on this one? Most of us will be guided by the ward councillors on this one, and again noted that your sacrifice there, Councillor Grisbeck. Well done. Okay, so would you like to close?
Yes, please. Thank you. I think just in addition, I have spoken to nearly everyone down that particular road. There is a soccer club, which is the North Geelong Soccer Club, that is at the end of Gibbons Road. I'm just hopeful that when we do discontinue the road, that we leave a small space for walking or cycling going through there, because I know that that is a route by which some people do use to walk their dogs and to cycle through to the soccer club as well. So I think that this, I would probably get some backlash for this particular decision, but my safety hat on says that this is the right decision to make. And if in the future that there is future development at any point in time down those particular roads of O'Halloran's Road or Gibbons Road, that then we will have a look at that particular road at that time with a view on that convenience that it does provide. There is plenty of space by which for people to go around down O'Halloran's Road and down Alco Road, and the Alco Road has just been upgraded in the intersection of Bacchus Marsh Road with a massive new roundabout, and so it is the safer option to use Alco Road. And that's probably it. Thanks, Mayor Asher.
Well said. Okay, on that note, we'll put the recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Carried. Okay, item 5, the Council Plan Quarterly Report, December 2019. To be moved by Councillor Grisbeck and seconded Councillor Mason. Thank you. Councillor Grisbeck.
Thank you. This is a quarterly report that we get, obviously, every quarter in relation to the council plan. So it's around where we think we sit within our priorities and objectives of the council. There are 81 key priorities and 104 actions, and by the end of December last year, the majority of these are on track. I'll give you some more information after that. Thank you.
Councillor Grisbeck. Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Mayor Asher. Yes, in fact, it's really good to see so much progress being made, and it is good that we are having such regular monitoring reports. And we do understand that of the 104 actions, six actions haven't quite made the grade, 2 haven't started and 4 need improvement, but that still gives us something like a 98.5 success rate. And so I do urge everybody to take a look at all of the good work that this council and the city is doing, and it'll be reported in this monitoring report. And from my point of view, as a rural and coastal portfolio, I do note that there are quite a few elements in there that people could take note of, such as the Rural and Peri-Urban Advisory Committee appointed an organisation to undertake a feasibility study for a livestock and information exchange facility. Engagement with key stakeholders will inform the development of the study with a final report, which we expect it to be presented in April this year. So that's really great progress. We're also working on a thematic history for Geelong, and the outcomes of that will be released this year. The Bellarine Peninsula has been declared a distinctive area and landscape under the Planning Environment Act 1987. We're working with the department, with DELP, and we do expect that ongoing consultation during this year on the DAL. Similarly, we see a new environmentally sustainable development guidelines have been finalised in October last year, and that therefore we have with all our developments a higher standard of requirements of state sustainability. And similarly, we're developing the Sparrow Vale Wetlands Master Plan and beginning construction. So all of that's on track and it's all going very well, and I urge everyone to take a look at the whole report and see of all the good work we're doing.
Councillor Mason. Any other comments? Councillor Manane.
Rereading item 1, my state of despair arose again. And I did put down my cup of tea and went to the door just to check I wasn't living in Dubai. I'm here in Geelong where the increase in percentage of residents who feel safe where they live, we have a target of in 2022 that 57% of our population and get to say that they have good health, and 43% are going to be physically active. And my state of despair, when I look at those figures again, I can't believe I'm living in further evidence of the lack of investment and priority that has been placed on these matters for the last 10 or 20 years. And I raised with you again the point that I made at a meeting recently about how active you're going to be at G21 to get them to prioritise some of these matters for our city, because it has to be a very key matter for this council and the work that we intend to do over the next few years, to have targets that are a lot better than that, because they are, quite frankly, they're a disgrace. And I hope that in the years to come, when fellow councillors sit in the chairs we are, they have a lot more better news to talk about than what we're seeing here in this report.
Thanks, Councillor Manone. I must say, they were the stats that I highlighted as well, and I've been highlighting them ever since we started this plan, and I've been commenting on the low targets that we set in this plan, so I will not say any more about the low targets that we set, because I feel like I've said it a lot of times. So I don't think it's actually down to G21. I think we need to probably set some higher targets. But, yeah. Yep. Okay, are there any other comments on council plan? Councillor Grisbeck to close.
Thank you. And on that note, it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention the ones that do need improvement. So we've got 4 of them, which is the remedial works on Osborne House, which we're working on. Construct and launch the first stage of the sunken gallery is in our council plan. Create a new advocacy function and undertake the detailed design to create the linkages with shared paths across the region, one that the Mayor is close to her heart. But on an opposite note, we have done some really, really good things. Implement the new approach to the CIF, which is the Community Investment and Support Fund. I think I speak for all councillors when I think that we've done an absolutely terrific job, and the right outcomes at this stage have come out of those particular funds. The Green Organics facility is something that I'm immensely proud of. I think we are on the right track. And I know that Councillor Quintel is not here tonight, but I know that he is very excited about the trial on flexible parking solutions for the CBD. The Community Grants Fund, and also in terms of the organisation, the CEO has done an amazing job so far in establishing and supporting the organisational change management function, which I think is really important internally. And on that note, I put the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Grisbeck. Put the recommendation to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Carried. Item 6, tender T19000049, Elco Channel and Basin Stage 2 drainage works, to be moved by Councillor Aitken. You're very keen with this one, Councillor Aitken, and seconded Councillor Grisbeck. Councillor Aitken.
Thank you very much, Mayor Asher. Look, this is actually stage 2 of the Elco Channel Basin drainage works. It's awarding of a $2.4 million tender to Harcom Civil Proprietary Limited, and it is part of a significant stormwater and drainage and wetlands project that's actually does occur in the and is required in the Heels Road industrial precinct, and it will. What's quite fascinating, you quickly learn, I always thought hilly land caused more drainage problems, but you quickly learn that flat land actually does, and this is a perfect example of that. This is an engineering solution to a significant floodplain and is required for that particular area. And I know all the landholders that are trying to sell their land, including the City of Greater Geelong, do believe that they need this particular project to continue and come to fruition so that they can clearly sell their land without drainage and flooding issues associated with it.
Councillor Aitken. Councillor Grisbeck.
Thank you. I'd just like to note that thank you to the officers for putting this out into the public domain and not keeping these kinds of contracts behind closed doors, because it shows the transparency that we want to have at council. And it is good to see that the evaluation, independent evaluation that happens on these, that a local business has been, will be awarded this particular contract.
Councillor Grisbeck, any other comments on this one? Councillor Aitken to close.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I do apologise. Another important point is this was actually a special rates and charges scheme that's actually come below what the officers originally estimated, so the tender came in below that. So there actually are some savings that are going to go back to the landholders that are abutting this project. So that's a good outcome as well too, that does deserve to be mentioned.
Good news. Okay, we'll put the recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Carried. Item 7, our last item, revocation of flood-prone area designation of new lots at Shalamont Rise Estate, stage 10. I already know which councillor is going to move this one. Councillor Manane, seconded. Councillor Nelson, thank you.
This is to do with the revocation of council's designation for flood-affected land at Shalamont Road Estate, stage 10. And for those who want a little bit more detail, that's 150 to 230 Horseshoe Bend Road, Shalamont. And because of internal drainage, road construction and earthworks, the flooding now can be contained within the boundaries away from land. So I'm happy to move that nomination.
Councillor Manane. Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Aitken said previously, this is on a flat piece of land, and it is quite hard to move that water around, and we're trying to move it across to eventually to Sparrow Vale Wetlands and then into I've just gone blank, Lake Conowari. So this revocation will remove that the floodplain areas for the 1 in 100 year flood. So let's hope that now that we've fixed that problem, we can fix the problem of Horseshoe Bend Road and upgrade that sooner rather than later, because that is a very, very busy road and it's only going to get busier.
Thanks, Councillor Nelson. Any other comments on this one? Okay, back to Councillor Manane.
Any further?
Okay, we'll put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Motion carried. And meeting closed. Declare the meeting closed at 8:10. 8:08.